Hello and welcome to Face Reading with Agnieszka, and Joshua Hogarth is our subject today. And I'm just going to pin his face on the screen. And this is another Raising Excellence podcast where we raise excellence, look deeply inside ourselves, and create a new reality for each of us. So just let's see what we can do for Joshua here. Let's pin his video. Hi, Joshua. How are you today?
Hey, Agnieszka, how we doing?
It is a pleasure having you here with us, Raising Excellence, Face Reading once more. And I'm really delighted that you chose to be one of the volunteers for the face reading. It's really lovely of you.
Yes, I'm excited, very intrigued, and I look forward to doing this.
Sure, sounds good. So, first of all, can you look more directly at me? So, yeah, like that. Yeah. No.
Oh, at the camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. That way I
Okay.
can see you. And I'm also not seeing your beard for some reason, the bottom of yours. Because the first thing I look at is at the face shape, the overall face shape. Oh, you're a little bit frozen. Okay, I see. Okay, and the second thing I'd like to look at, and this is going to probably make your microphone make some noise. So maybe mute yourself before you do this. I just want you to lift your bangs so I can see the hairline along the forehead here. Yeah. All right. Okay, I see. And the temples, so can I see each one of the temples, and then I'll start telling you what I see here. Okay. And so can you just touch your hair again on that side, because I don't like just do this just on the temple. I know you probably. Okay, there we go. Good job not touching your microphone. I see a little bit of that. Okay, and the other side? The same view but on the other side? Okay, I see. I see. Okay, so overall, looking at your overall face shape, what I see is I see a lovely, nice rectangle as the base shape, but it is rounded on top. So there is a softening of the rectangle on top. So you have a rectangle going up and down with a bit of a softening roundness on top. And then on the bottom, I think that originally when you were younger, it was probably a straight up rectangle, sort of like Tyler's. The way his face looks, it was probably very, very strict. And you were probably much more rigid in your thinking when you were younger. I would presume or suppose I would suppose that that when you were a young man, you were very, very attached to your definitions. Things were either right or wrong. You didn't really enjoy much of the gray areas of life, and you were very, very much stuck on your way, one my way or the highway kind of thing, or this is the right thing and I know what the right thing is and no one could tell you what the right thing was. And I also see as you grew up, that attitude has softened a bit. You've put some flesh to soften that rigid thinking, and I see that now. And also, there's a little bit of fat deposits along your chin, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Considering that your natural, the way you were born was very strict and rigid and very idealistic. The height of your face tells me that right from the get-go, right as a child, you were very, very idealistic. You knew what the right thing was. You were very idealistic. You strived for the higher ideal. And as you grew older, with a little bit more fat and your beard, that all came here to increase the sensitivity and soften the way you speak a little bit, to soften you to the world, right? The beard is the sensitivity. So the way you have your beard, you have it along where the stubbornness sits, where the determination sits, you know. And that's any hair growing anywhere on your body. That's just increased sensitivity, increased you're more aware of those parts of your body when there's hair growing on it, as opposed to parts that have no hair. And so growing your beard and growing a little bit of a mustache just brings you a little bit closer to understanding without judgment, kind of thing. That's how I see it. And that little bit of so. I'm gonna wait. Okay, sorry. Doing the face reading in order. Don't jump ahead, Agnieszka. Chill. It's okay. There's time for us to say all the things. Okay, so face shape. Highly idealistic, rounded and care. And also, the face shape is one of the main aspects of the face shape, I always consider the cheeks, right? Because I know the overall face shape is one thing, but your cheeks are very much heart and love cheeks. So where there's two
Great.
main types of cheeks, some are ambitious cheeks and the other ones are love cheeks. Your cheeks would be definitely speaking about love and nurturing and taking care of others, and just being a real loving kind of person. And because of that huge love that you have to give in your heart, I can totally see why you would soften that rigid thinking that you had as a young man, and brought a little bit more of softness into it, especially dealing with kids. Do you have kids?
Yes.
Yeah?
I have two girls,
Two girls. And how old are they?
11 and, I'm sorry, 15 and 10.
Wow, so that's a lot of years to soften the rigid attitude there. 15
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So do you agree that you did have a little bit more rigid attitude as a younger man?
That's a great question. I look back. Um, I don't know. I've been spending time recently looking back into my childhood and trying to understand, who I am, and understanding that, when I had that hearing loss and how that shaped who I am today.
How old were
And
you when you lost your hearing?
so in that journey, I still haven't determined if it happened when I was born or when I was 4 years old. What I learned was at 4, they shot me up with the MMR and several other vaccines that I found in my baby book. So my mom did a great job tracking all that. And I believe that it probably was at 4, because that is when the family said, "Okay, there's something wrong. There's something like we couldn't they couldn't figure out what it was." And then it was about 4 years old. They took me to a doctor and they said, "Yeah, he's got a hearing loss." Um, so as far as like the rigidity, I wonder if that was like because my environment, having a hearing loss, that I really needed to pay attention to my parents or whoever it was, and they were like, "Okay, this is right and this is wrong, and I need to follow these directions and rules." That's what as I'm trying to think back, and then based on what you kind of shared, that's interesting. I never really thought of it that way. I always felt like I was a little bit like soft and that, oh, I'm just doing whatever anyone else told me to do, and uh, this is just very really enlightening to hear. So
Yeah, well, you
thank
are
you.
you are soft because the soft cheeks, right? The cheeks that speak of love. And then also,
Yeah.
would you touch the tip of your nose for me with your finger and tell me what you feel? Is it soft and like is it mushy?
I would say it's medium rare.
Okay, so it's
It's a little
soft,
soft,
but
but
you can
it's
feel a bit
not.
of cartilage in there at the end. Is it
Yes,
really hard or is it just
it's
kind of
not really
soft?
hard.
No, it's kind of
It's
soft.
in the middle. There's a little softness, but if I push hard enough, there's a little firmness in there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I'm just seeing how your nose moves even as you're touching it. And I would say that's a soft nose. Some people, the cartilage is kind of hard all the way to the tip. And so the tip of your
Oh,
nose,
it's not. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So the tip of your nose actually speaks about how you interact with, oh my goodness, there's music. I might have to exit that. Sorry. I was trying to live stream on our Discord channel, and people, I could hear music,
Oh,
so I didn't want our live or our broadcast to have music in it. I'm not sure if they could hear it. So okay, woo, good. I'm good. So when the tip of your nose, the tip of your nose speaks about how you talk to others, right? So actually,
okay.
show me profile. I would like to see the rest of your nose as well. So just from the
Okay.
side. Okay, I see. All right. So what I see from your nose is interesting. Okay. All right. All right. So that totally makes sense that you would be very obedient to your parents' directives because your nose is a little bit short where it comes to length of it, but it
Okay.
is the part that talks about whether you speak from the heart or from the head is definitely you Oh, your video just. Oh, there you go. He stopped your
I
video
had
for
a
a
low
second.
battery message just popped up. Sorry.
Oh, so did you? Are you plugged in or what?
I've got about 20%. I
Oh,
thought it
okay.
was okay, but
Okay, well, we'll
not.
go. We'll go as long as we can. Anyway,
Yep, yep.
no worries, no worries. The tip of your nose speaks about um, how you talk to other people, and this part of your nose, the bridge of your nose, talks about whether when you speak to other people, whether it comes directly from your head, like without filter, or whether you filter it through your heart and actually put some caring and loving into it, right? And so for you, I would say you definitely care about how you deliver the messages, and you
Yeah.
definitely soften your words and soften your messages before they go out of your mouth. So you're very caring and very careful about not hurting other people's feelings when you're interacting with them. And you definitely speak from the heart. You're definitely and
Oh
definitely
yeah.
very, very caring. So that would make sense that, and with the little bit short nose, I mean, your chin and your nose are at the same level, so your determination and your ego work hand in hand when you're trying to achieve something. At the same time, I think from your praise profile that you probably hold back on both of them, your ego and your determination. Just a little bit of keeping yourself in check, or keeping
Hmm.
yourself short, not allowing yourself to run with ideas too much, and
Yeah.
being a little bit more cautious as to what you do.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
also when I look at your eyes, right? So the eyes, the heart chakra governs the eyes, right? And right now there's a bit of a shadow, but I've seen your eyes in different lights,
Yeah.
and
I
I
just
can.
noticed that.
Yeah, no, but that's okay. I know exactly what
Oh,
I've watched them before. And I know
oh,
that there
okay.
is a bit of a dark circle that happens underneath your eyes, and also
Yeah.
a little bit of swelling on your bottom eyelid. So I don't know if you've noticed that, but I've noticed that before, that your bottom eyelid has a little bit of swelling. And so every time we see swelling in the body or any kind of water retention, that speaks to emotional, like some emotional unresolved issue, right? So
Really?
with your eyes being your heart chakra and there being a little bit of swelling in your bottom eyelid, I would say that perhaps your purpose is not being completely expressed in this lifetime. Perhaps
Okay.
you're not really fully engaging in what you're supposed to be doing for the world. Like
Wow.
there is probably a higher message or a higher yearning that you might have that you're not allowing yourself to pursue at this time,
Yeah. Right on.
right? And so then that
Yes.
also that also like when I look at your eyebrows, and your eyebrows are a little bit pale, right? I'm having a hard time even seeing exactly where the eyebrow hairs are. And pale eyebrows, like, I mean, I see your eyebrows as being quite bushy, so there is the vivacity, the vivaciousness of your expression. And all, like, so the eyebrows are governed by the throat chakra, so it's your expression and how you interact with others. So I see that vivacity, vivaciousness, but I also see that you've held back enough, and your eyebrows are a little bit pale. Now, if you find that you're going into meetings, like I know that you have a couple projects on the go that you're planning to pursue, the educational project for hearing impaired people. And so if you find that you're going to a meeting, and like people are not interacting with you, like they're not listening to your ideas or whatever, one of the things that you can do is grab like a brown eyebrow pencil and just darken your eyebrows a little bit. Nobody has to
Really?
know. Nobody has to know, but with your eyebrows framing your face in with a darker way, you will be much more, people will pay attention to you more. Now, when I first learned
What?
psychosomatic therapy, and I first learned about this, I was like, no way, like that cannot work. But I've done a lot of testings, and because I'm self-employed, right? So I go to see clients a lot, all these different clients. It really makes a difference when you darken your eyebrows, when you have to interact with somebody, especially convince them of something, or get their agreement onto something. It really does make a difference to have a good frame for your face, right? People somehow, I don't know why, take one more seriously when your eyebrows are well defined.
That's really interesting. Wow. So like just a little bit darker brown, huh?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Especially because, so I kind of skipped over your forehead, but your forehead is very tall. So, and as we talked in the face reading, oh, you're touching your microphone. um, when as we talked with the face reading with Dennis, the forehead is divided into three different zones. The observation zone, which is very well developed in you, which makes sense because you're hearing impaired, so you had to make it up somehow, right? And then we
Right.
have the memory zone, which is the middle part of your forehead and the temples. And then we have the higher one, which speaks about imagination and all the ideas that you have. So I would say your imagination zone actually does tell me that you have a lot of different ideas, but you're maybe not pursuing them and you're not following them up. They're kind of
Yes.
burning up in your head.
Yes. I would agree with that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then with your memory, so the one thing that I noticed when I was looking at your forehead at the beginning is as you showed me your temples, and whoever is watching it, they can back up to the beginning where he showed us the temples. There's a little bit of hair that goes in at the temple, above your brow, a little bit like it's. I'm just gonna unpin your video so I can show people what I mean, and you for later. Okay, so what I mean is this. So there is a little bit of hair right here. You can see it on my face right here that goes in to your face. Normally your hairline would be here, but then there's this little hair. And for me, this used to be much more pronounced before I was aware of what this was. And now I still have a little bit because I'm still attached to some things from the past. But what it
Wow.
is, I'm going to pin your video. So what it is, these are called, in psychosomatic therapy, they're called the tape recorders. And what they actually do is those little hairs indicate that there are some things that you learned in childhood. Maybe somebody said things to you that you really held on to. And then whenever you're stressed or in a like backed into a corner, these things play back like a little recording inside your head. And you know that they're tape recorders as opposed to your actual original thoughts because when they play back, they're not in your own voice. So it'll be your mother, your father, your grandma, your teacher, your best friend. It'll be somebody, whoever recorded these messages. And it's not even that the person actually records the message, is that you take their words and you take them so much to heart that you imprint them on your own psyche, yourself, because you know everything you do for yourself is yourself, right? You imprinted these words into your psyche and you took them so much to heart. The person who said them may not even remember now that they ever said such a thing. But for you, it was so key. And now, whenever you're stressed, and often these kind of messages have to do with whether you're a good boy or a good girl, or whether you're comparing well to others, or whether you're successful or not. You know, all some of these judgy sentences that we might have heard as younger people that we really took to heart, right? So I would say that you do experience that a fair amount of time on both the analytical side, or the masculine side, and also on the feminine side. So that could mean that it's messages from both the female members of your family and the male members of your family that are pre-recorded in your head. It could also mean that the topic of the messages are on a feeling or emotional level, like you should be more sensitive or things like that, or they're on an intellectual level, you're not smart enough, you'll never be smart enough, these kind of messages, right? So these kind of messages, and whenever it's somebody else's voice, you have to remember it's not true, because if it was true, like no one other person in the world has your morals, your judgment, your abilities, your talents, your way of understanding the world. No one has those elements. So essentially, once you're 20 years old, the only person who's fit to parent you is you. You have no other parent that can parent you once you're an adult. When you're a child and you're learning to walk, other people can help you with that. They can help you learn to walk. But when it comes to cognitive development, in essence, you are the only parent that can fully understand yourself and raise yourself right? Because no one can understand you the way you understand you. No one knows what you're capable of. No one knows where your thoughts go as you're falling asleep at night other than you. So who else would you listen to? Who else would you really be able to connect with and really allow to guide you other than yourself? You
I
know?
think that I think that for years, I needed to um, get guidance from other people all the time. Okay, I need you to tell me what I need to do, and because I can't think for myself, and as I'm looking back on my own
Yeah.
life, I'm seeing that like, why was I doing that? Like, what programming was I on that I didn't think that I could,
Because
you
it's
know?
because you have a very rigid face. You have a rectangular chin, which
Mm,
wasn't
wow,
softened by the fat and the hair back then, or maybe just not by the fat. But you if you back then when you could put your head on the table, it would stand there. It wouldn't roll at all. It would be very rigid. And then your
hmm,
nose is a little short,
wow,
so your ego doesn't stand up for itself as much. So you believe in rules and regulations, but maybe not your own. And so that would be really easy for me to tell you what to do, right?
yeah,
Because you're not in my
wow, right.
face and you're not standing up for yourself. So you're going to lay down and follow my rule because you believe in rules and I'm the one with the rules.
Oh my gosh,
Cuz
you're like
you don't
into that
got no
bad.
rules of your own. Right? But
So now,
at your age, it's good to bring some rules of your own into your life. You can create your own rules, the ones that actually fit you and
yeah,
grow you,
we
right?
we were talking about that just a few hours ago. Like talking about my wife, and because this is my wife's cousin Darren, and his other cousin on my wife's side of the family. We were talking about that, and my voice not being, like my voice is suppressed, um, and I need to speak up more.
Yeah,
I mean, so okay, so what am I doing? Like, I want to
you're
now
breaking up a little
understand
bit.
myself better. Oh,
Oh,
am I? Oh,
there you are. Okay, sorry. You were breaking up a little bit there. So what can you do to understand yourself better? Let's finish up
yeah.
with your
Oh, okay.
video got to be a little small on our thing because it says your bandwidth is low, but you know what? We're going to keep going. So the one thing I
Okay.
noticed on your throat where it comes to express yourself is that there are a few lines and there is a little bit of fat on their throat area, right? So that means that you're afraid to speak up fully and you really want to soften and pad the communications with others because you're maybe concerned with how you communicate, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
hold yourself back. And then when I look at your lips, I mean, not all like everybody has the same size lips, right? And your lips are nice, but then you also have a tendency of pursing your lips. So, oh,
Yeah.
you're big again. That's good. So we can actually see you. But yeah, you have a tendency of going like this, right?
Mm,
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So what that tells me is that, you know, your expression can be fully expressed, but you're holding yourself back again, right? So the bottom lip has to do with how you stand up for yourself and your family, how you can fight for them and how you can battle their battles for them or your battles for yourself. And so that is, you know, I can see that you have capacity of doing it. If you're pressed against the wall, you will fight against, you know, an oppressor or whatever. But at
yeah.
the same time, if there is an opportunity to hold back, like somebody else to battle, you would allow the other person to take over.
Mm,
So because there is that the tendency of holding back as well. So even though you have the capacity to do it, you have a tendency of holding back. And then
yeah.
with your creativity, you know, you grew that mustache to be a little bit more sensitive with creativity, but at the same time, again, you kind of flip flop between being a very creative person and holding back and allowing your ideas to fizzle out.
Mm,
So I see that with your upper lip as well. So there is the back and forth with holding back
mm,
and
wow.
just like I was talking to with Dennis, you know, you can try to massage the
Yeah.
upper lip, and there will be
Hmm.
some tension in those tiny little vertical muscle
Yes.
systems. So yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then I you also clench your teeth at night. It's not so visible on the right side, but on the left side there is a definite. I definitely think that if you were to clench, you probably clench more on the left.
That's interesting. I think that, yeah, there's definitely clenching. Yes. And I, uh, my speech, I think at one point in time, I never understood how to pronounce CH and the difference between CH and SH and S's. it took a really long time, and someone finally taught me put your back teeth together, and so I I never forgot that,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think there's some of that along with maybe tension, but
Mm-hmm.
focusing on speaking clearly, and then making sure if I'm doing my CA church whatever, I put those teeth down and clench it. So that's interesting, right?
You know what's funny? Even if you don't pronounce it right, people will still understand what you're saying. One time when I was a kid, somebody told me that I will never be able to pronounce tree and three, tree and three. He said, "Well,
Really?
you'll never be understood in those two words. They'll just have to get it from context because your accent is so thick. There's no chance that you're going to, overcome your accent. So just accept that you cannot say these two words." And at one point, I
Wow.
actually accepted it, and I was like, "Okay, well, they'll just figure it out." But in reality, it wasn't true either because I could learn, right? I can say
Yeah.
3 o'clock.
Yeah.
but but yeah, so it's not just because you're deaf either, right?
Oops.
Oh, there's
Sorry.
10%.
I'm
I
back.
know, I know.
Yep.
Your phone's at 10%.
I'm sorry.
What are we gonna do? No, no, it's okay. You
Oh
had a
no.
full day today. Um,
Yep.
but I think that we're, like the throat chakra. Maybe talk about the speaking a little bit. So if you were to be more open with words and talk more openly with people, your throat would, like the little extra fat would probably dissipate on your throat. Because you know that the fat on our bodies is not because you're fat, it's because whatever, it's sticking there. I'm fat too, and I have no extra fat on my throat, right? So
Hmm.
so it's not because you have extra fat elsewhere that you have to have extra fat on your throat. Your throat,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah,
Right.
your throat is specifically about your throat chakra and how you
Hmm.
interact, how you speak to other people, right? So one way, if you wanted to move the energy in your throat chakra, one way you could do that is by expressing things that are honest and straightforward to other people, but not necessarily controversial. For example, you may not want to start a fight about something you care about because it's too scary and oh my god, no, I don't want to do it. But what
Hmm.
if you practice with compliments? Like just walking down the street, you see somebody who's wearing a really cool shirt, man or woman, doesn't matter, and you just say, "Hey, man, that's a cool shirt," or "Oh, it's so nice to see a beautiful woman," or whatever. Like don't get in trouble because I know these days you
Right.
can get in trouble, but but find way to compliment others in a way that's non offensive and that doesn't ask for anything in return, but it allows you to move the energy in speaking to others in a way that's
Hmm.
like gonna
Interesting.
receive a positive feedback, right? Or your wife.
Yeah.
How many times have you
I
told
was
your
just gonna
wife
talk.
that she looks beautiful this week? Hmm?
Um, I once this week I did.
Once.
I do make a great yes. I make an effort to do those things. And but I know that there's a lot of controversial topics since I've been awoke that we are definitely opposite. We were on the same page when we met, and then I went on a different path, and now those topics are very tense and create conflict. And so I've learned now over the last couple of years to just like, okay, let's not talk about it. We don't agree, and that's okay. But I need to like pay attention to like, you know what? Hey, you are beautiful today, and you do great things, and let's talk about those things. And you hit it right on the head. So I
But you
definitely
know
agree with
what? The
that.
other thing that I'm learning also with my partner is that you're never going to agree 100% on all your
Like,
belief systems with anybody. Your idol, your hero, your teacher, your king. You're not going to agree on 100% of the things. So the point is, like with Eric, okay, I know that some things he believes in that I don't believe in at all, and I'm okay with it. And he's okay with it, and we can talk about it or not talk about it, and we can still be cool about it. But I think that comes from the whole autonomy Socratic University thing, where we are learning to speak about things and not buy into other people's belief systems. And that's a big one for you, right? Because you hear
yes,
another person's belief system, your first initial thing is to, because you're seeking rules and you're seeking frameworks and you're seeking where you can fit into that framework. And if you hear something that sounds kind of half good, you'd be the first one to jump on that bandwagon and go, okay, okay, I found a rule that works for me. I'm going to play with this rule. But does that mean that you have to? Like, what would happen if you just learn, like, allowed that information to come and sit with you without buying into it or rejecting it. Just like, okay, this is one theory. Oh, we have this theory here, and then we have this theory here. Oh, I'm reading a historical document. How would it look with this theory? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. How would it look with this theory? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. And not necessarily marry every theory.
Yeah, I definitely have. I've heard that somewhere in the class, and I'm like, I need to practice that. So yes,
It's
right.
a definitely higher level skill to be able to hear
Yes.
somebody you vehemently disagree with and allow them to live. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes.
You can go home. You will allow the person to go home to their wife and kids without strangling them. You know, that's a
Yes.
definite skill, and you can absolutely learn it.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
We're working on that. Yes.
Just like what we were talking about in Do It Live podcast this morning about how listening to somebody who's dressed as a street person is more difficult because our automatic reaction wants to reject or dismiss what they're saying, but there's a higher level that we can engage in and go, okay, maybe I can hear this person out, and I will allow for the possibility that this person has something valuable to teach me despite their outfit or despite their smell or, despite the fact that they
Yes.
sound like they're a crazy person. Because
Yeah.
everybody has something to teach you, and everybody has that belief that you'll never buy into. Every single person, and that's okay. That's totally fine.
We got to be okay with it. We got to be able to differentiate. That was the word I
Absolutely.
learned last year, and that's the word. I'm like, yeah, I need to be okay with myself, and I have to be okay that other people are not okay because my whole life I wanted everybody to be
But
happy
what if
and
they're
okay with me.
okay? What if it's okay that they believe in this crazy thing you don't believe in? What if it's okay that they believe in purple butterflies? Can you still have a burger together? Him believing in the purple butterflies and you believing that the same butterflies are actually chartreuse?
Right.
That's cool,
Yeah.
and you can actually stand there next to each other, eating burgers and going, I think that butterfly is chartreuse. I think it's purple. Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. Have a good day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
don't need to
Absolutely.
agree. I don't know why there's this obsession in our society with agreement and stuff. You don't need to agree. You can just say, yeah, I have a different opinion.
Right.
Good burger.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Exactly.
well, I know that your phone is running out of
Right.
of
Yeah.
power, and so I think that maybe we should wrap it up. If you do want to schedule a post face reading sort of observations talk, you can certainly do that, and we'll put it on our channel too, like Dennis is doing tomorrow. But in the meantime, we will close this out. I think, unless you
Yeah.
have
I
any
would
other
definitely like to.
questions.
No, I would definitely like to follow up. So we could definitely touch base and figure out a time to do that. And I appreciate the time, and it was very insightful. I look forward to seeing the video again, and this was great stuff, especially in my journey of reflecting and understanding who I am, and you know that journey, and where am I going, and so. Yeah, thank you for taking the time
You're
because you had a
most
busy day
welcome.
yourself.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much. Let us just close out the stream and I will be with you for last comments. One sec.